We have been busy in our homestead gardens these past few weeks, working to try and keep weeds down and the harvest up. And if you have ever had a garden or a homestead, you know how things can quickly get out of hand when it comes to weeds. And we really were determined this year to stay on top of things, but we weren't super successful. So today is our big weed cleanup day. We pulled out the tractor mower, but before we could really get started, we got the kids and they helped us pick up any pieces of wood, any toys, any debris, metal, whatever might have gotten thrown on the ground around the gardens, as well as the chicken coops, so that the tractor didn't run over it. And once we had all those paths clear, we were able to mow between the coops, mow around the pump house and the barn, and mow around the gardens. One of the big projects that we're working on is mowing down our cold weather garden so that we can replant it later this month. So we can maybe have a late fall harvest of carrots, onions, and cabbage. We haven't had time to do this in the past, so this is a kind of an exciting thing for us. And since we're tidying everything up, we thought now would be the perfect time to bring you along for a little homestead garden tour. We want to show you the spaces that we've been working so hard on, maybe share a little peek about what's going on around the homestead, and give you a feel for the rhythm of our homestead this time of year, especially during the harvest. So let's head out to the garden. So today we're going to do something we actually haven't done before and thought it might be kind of fun to kind of give you a tour of our garden. So this is our summer garden that we're going to show you today, but I'm going to kind of take you around just the homestead and some of the things that we have planted, some of the things that are working great for us, maybe some of the things that haven't worked so great for us this year. Just so you can kind of get a better picture of what our homestead looks like and what our gardening situation is. And so hopefully it's a fun little tour and give you a little insight into what we do and how we do things. To start our tour, we're going to go down to the bottom of our hill. So our house is up here. Here's the house. And then this is our field and our chickens. The big garden's over there. Pumpkins are over here. Here's the barn. So this is actually a really crucial area of our homestead. Not only is it next to the barn and where we started our chickens, but this is one of our first trees. This is a cherry tree. It has not bloomed yet. We actually grew that from seed. So we're hoping this next year. We have had blossoms in the past, but nothing else. So maybe this next year, but it looks great. This is our grapes, and our grapes have done really well this year. We'll get a close-up on those. And then if you've been watching any of our videos, you know that over here in this area between these two lilac bushes here, this has been our cold weather garden. So we literally just pulled that down this last week in preparation for planting again for the winter months. We do have a volunteer sunflower there, which we love. But let me show you these grapes. In the past, we have had grapes to make grape juice from our sister-in-laws. But this one here is our grape, and this is the first year it is actually producing grapes, which is super exciting. And then just below that, this is our mint. So my husband loves mint. He loves mint tea, so he planted some mint a few years ago, and it's done really well. Luckily, it hasn't spread a ton. I mean, it has spread slightly, but this is a good spot for it, and it's worked well. And then these are some of my peony plants, or peonies, depending on who you are. They just need to be trimmed back. But let me show you these grapes. Beautiful those grapes are. Now we have put this bird netting on it this year because the birds, I think we would have had grapes last year, but the birds ate them all. So this has kind of helped prevent some of that. We still have had them eaten a little. They still get in there. You can see those back there. But we already harvested some of the grapes and they weren't all quite ready, so we just went ahead and left the rest. And so today we're going to harvest a few more of those. But we drink a lot of grape juice. We love grape juice, and these are eating grapes. They're not wine grapes, so they're super sweet, so they're great for eating and as well as juicing. And then this is another view of that cold weather garden. You can kind of see here. We just mowed it down. Looks so much better. It was just full of weeds and kind of crazy. We do have one dahlia that was a volunteer and a couple over here as well. So we're going to replant that this week. So on that side is the barn and the cold weather garden. And then we had this direction and you can see the chicken coops, and we're heading into garden territory. So if you followed us at all, you know we have a lot of chickens. We have these beautiful coops that my husband and uncle and my dad helped build. They're really awesome. They've done great things for us. We have lots of chickens in there right now, lots of babies. And then, so if we walk past the chicken coops and around some of my volunteer sunflowers here, they're beautiful. Actually, these aren't volunteer. I did plant those ones. We will get to the pumpkin patch. So here we are on the back end of the pumpkin patch. So you can see over there, we've got the chicken coop in the barn. The entrance to the pumpkin patch for us is right there. We've got the sunflowers. So this is the pumpkin patch. It's quite large. We have 3 zones. This is actually zone 3 here. This is our specialty pumpkins. Some of our white, our blue, some pink. You can see these ones right here that are really pretty. Kind of a green and orange. Same with right there. There's a blue one over there. That's had some problems, but it's still pretty. So that's kind of what this section is, all the specialty pumpkins. When we get closer this direction, we start getting into the jack-o'-lanterns. And we have some really great jack-o'-lanterns this year in that pumpkin patch. I mean, look at my hand in comparison to this pumpkin, you know. So we have some really beautiful jack-o'-lanterns out here. We have had some issues with bugs. We've had gophers. We've had powdery mildew. If you can have it in a pumpkin patch, we've had it this year. So just trying to maintain some order has been a challenge, but overall, we're really happy with how things have turned out so far. So that's kind of a little bit about our pumpkin patch. So let's head up to the actual garden and see how things are doing up there. Now right here outside our pumpkin patch is our farm stand. It's empty right now because today is picking day. So I gotta harvest and add stuff to the farm stand this morning. And up here, a little ways off from the house and the barn, see, it's quite a little journey, is our actual garden. Up here by the silo and the orchard, which is where our vegetable garden is. And it is a nice little spot. This used to be kind of a feed lot, and so there's been lots of nutrients, especially nitrogen, in the soil. That's really helped the plants to grow. They are pretty leafy because of all that nitrogen, but we've had a lot of success. As you can see this year, we have a lot of grass. We have a ton of grass. All of this section here is basically grass. You can just see so much grass. So next year we'll have to change up how we do things. But let me just kind of show you around the garden and how things are looking. I'm going to start on this far side here. These are my cucumber plants here. They have had a struggle bus this year. It has been really hard getting them to grow. I don't know if it's the location or if it's the soil. So I actually ended up planting some cucumbers in another space just so we had some, because it's my husband's favorite. So they have grown. We haven't actually gotten any cucumbers. We do have some flowers on them, so that's great. And they're going to get some water today, which will help. But this whole section here with some of our sunflowers that were volunteers is cucumbers. Lots of bees out this morning, which is great. We love that. Here's another cucumber here. It's looking great. And then there's one hidden in there, and sometimes I can get to it and sometimes I can't. This one cantaloupe plant, and it's produced quite a few cantaloupes, but you can see right there is a gopher hole. So it's been a bit of a struggle between the gopher and the dog trying to stop the gopher for this plant to grow. So we'll probably get a few cantaloupe. We can eat off of it, but not much more than that. But you can see here, just at this angle, these are all weeds and grass. See how high they are? And it's been really hard to maintain that because the grass is just so thick. So it's been kind of a struggle that way. Now, we're going to try and climb in here. Oh, there's a volunteer tomato. I haven't seen that one. It's hard to see, but right there, you can kind of see the leaves for a carrot. We do have carrots in here on this row here through those sunflowers. They did produce, they did well. We did weed them a lot, and then, you know, everything went crazy because of the heat. So we do have carrots, so we will have to come in here probably in another month and harvest those. They aren't quite ready yet. We're just going to leave them and hope that we get something out of them. You can see kind of back there, there's a tomato plant. That's a volunteer. If we tuck in here a little ways, I do have some dill. If it's still around, there it is right there. There's some dill right there. And there's some right there. But I don't know that I'm going to have cucumbers to use the dill with. So, and I did have a small amount of cilantro that came through before the weeds. I'm going to replant both of those things up in the cold weather garden, just so we actually have some later in the season. This is probably one of my favorite places in the garden. We have climbing beans on one side and tomatoes on the other. You can see that we kept them up with some hog paneling, and it's worked really well. I would say the negative is that the green beans have done such a good job shading the tomatoes that the tomatoes haven't completely ripened. So in the future, I would maybe just separate them farther and put some maybe cabbage or something else that would really enjoy the shade next to both of them so that they can shade the area. But I love coming down this walkway. It's so fun. It helps me like see the beauty in my garden. I also have loved having these pole beans. We typically plant bush beans. We've always planted Blue Lake bush beans, and we love them. And one year the beans got mixed up and they ended up being pole beans, and so we had harvested and dried those beans. So we have a big bag of these pole beans, and so now we plant pole beans, and it's really nice because I don't have to bend down. I can just go through here and pick my beans. I don't have to dig. I don't have to try and stake them up somehow. They do get kind of messy, but you know what? I don't really care because I'm just harvesting them. So yeah, it's been fun, and I really like this section of my garden. So I do have a variety of tomatoes. Up at the front here, they're all sauce tomatoes. And then towards the back are our cutting tomatoes and canning tomatoes. So hopefully they'll start to redden up a little bit. But that is kind of the walkway, the bean and tomato walkway. Now I do have a couple of pepper plants here. The grass has made it really hard for them to grow, even though I've tried to keep the weeds down around them. The other thing that we had issues with in the beginning was our drip tape. One of the lines in here in the grass, wherever it might be, had a slice in it, so we tried to repair it, but we still have a lot of excess water. And so these pepper plants here have gotten way more water, and I think that's some of it. They're just a little waterlogged and like, I'm a pepper, I'm supposed to be hot. So the peppers that are out in the pumpkin patch have done just a little bit better than these ones. So right next to our tomato plants, in between our squash and tomatoes, are actually some potato plants. And you can't see them because of the grass, but they are there. We'll come down here, you can see there's one right there. Right here, this one. How are they doing? Not fabulous, but they're there and they're getting watered. And hopefully we'll get some potatoes out of them. If we don't, that's all right. I mean, we live in Idaho, so I think we'll be able to find some potatoes from a farmer for inexpensive, or just go glean some if we need. So, but we do have some potatoes as well. So down from my sad squash, you can see this is the side of the tomatoes, which look great. Those are almost in there. Some of them are actually red down underneath. So that's very exciting. I have this great, beautiful patch of zinnias. And let me tell you, this has kept my heart so happy. Look how gorgeous they are. Oh, there's a little bee. Morning in the zinnias. They have thrived over here. I've never planted flowers up here. They're doing great. So maybe I'll end up bringing my flower garden up here because it did not do super fabulous this year. And then again, the tomatoes back there. And finally here, this is an additional pumpkin patch, which maybe sounds silly, but sometimes the pumpkins in the pumpkin patch don't do as well as we want. And I had some extra room this year, so we moved some pumpkins over here. Yes, it's overtaken by a few of the grass, but let me show you this pumpkin right here. It is ginormous. The size of this pumpkin. I mean, look at the leaf. Just the one leaf in comparison to that pumpkin. So we definitely have some great sized pumpkins in this little pumpkin area, which is wonderful because I love the fall. I love pumpkins. They'll go on my porch. I will get some from the pumpkin patch. So for reference, here's the garden and there's the pumpkin patch. There you go. There is our garden, our vegetable garden. It looks really good and it's growing. And I'm really happy with it overall. With all the challenges that we've had this year, we still are getting a harvest. It may not be the same harvest on certain things as it is in previous years, but that's all right. That's why we have a garden and that's why we preserve what we have. So hopefully when we have a bumper crop, we have it for a couple of years. And when we don't have a bumper crop, we still have that to eat.
Thanks for coming along on our little garden tour. It's always rewarding to pause after the weeding, mowing, and cleaning, and just enjoy the simple joys of harvesting the food we grew with our own hands. We picked a basket of veggies that we can take back to the kitchen, some tomatoes, cucumbers, and even a few peppers. It's moments like these that make all this hard work worthwhile. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.